John Carter sat alone in the quiet observation room of NASA's Deep Space Communication Array. His eyes were fixed on the screens displaying signal patterns from distant galaxies. For 3 years, he had searched for any sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. Most days brought nothing but cosmic noise. Today was different. "That's not normal," he whispered, leaning closer to the monitor. A recurring pattern pulsed across his screen. Organized, rhythmic, unlike the random static of space. His heart raced as he recorded the signal and ran it through the analysis software. The computer confirmed what he already suspected. This was not a natural phenomenon. John reached for his phone with shaking hands and dialed his supervisor. "Lisa, you need to see this. Now." Lisa Murray arrived 20 minutes later, her lab coat thrown hastily over casual clothes. As head of NASA's Extraterrestrial Intelligence Division, she had received many late-night calls about potential discoveries. Most turned out to be nothing. But when she saw the signal pattern, she knew this was the real thing. "Where is it coming from?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Andromeda Galaxy," John replied. "And it's been repeating for 6 hours now." Lisa pulled up a chair. "Have you attempted translation?" "Initial results are coming through now." John pointed to another screen where complex symbols were being processed. "It's not like anything in our databases, but there are mathematical constants embedded in the message. Universal language." The computer beeped as the first portion of the message was decoded. Both scientists leaned forward to read the words that appeared on screen. "Danger, VOIDAPQROHEs, EVAQ8. Within hours, the observation room filled with NASA's top minds. Computer specialists, linguists, and physicists worked together to decode more of the mysterious message. Coffee cups littered the tables as morning turned to afternoon. Ryan Foster, a young mathematician, called everyone's attention. "I've identified formulas in the signal that describe some kind of cosmic anomaly. It's like a black hole, but different. It consumes matter and energy, but doesn't follow standard gravitational equations." Lisa studied his findings. "Whatever this void is, it moves through space. And according to these coordinates," her voice trailed off as she compared the data with star charts. "What is it?" John asked. "If these calculations are correct, this thing is headed toward our region of space. Not immediately, but eventually." The room fell silent. Dr. Steve Garcia, the center's astrophysicist, spoke up. "We need to confirm this with other observatories. If there's something out there consuming entire star systems, there should be evidence." "I'll contact Arecibo and the European Southern Observatory," Lisa said. "John, continue working on the full translation. Ryan, I want detailed analysis of those mathematical formulas." As the team dispersed to their tasks, John remained at his station, staring at the alien message. More symbols were being decoded each minute, revealing the desperate warning from across the stars. Later that evening, satellite imagery from deep space telescopes arrived. Lisa projected the images on the main screen. They showed distant galaxies with strange, empty regions where stars should be. "It's real," she said quietly. "Something out there is consuming everything in its path." John looked up from his work. "I've translated more of the message. They call it the void. It's described as darkness that devours light, matter, and energy. Nothing escapes it. Nothing stops it." "How much time do we have?" Steve asked. Ryan reviewed his calculations. "Years, maybe decades, but it's definitely coming our way." Lisa straightened her shoulders, determination replacing fear. "Then we have work to do. This is now humanity's top priority. We need to understand what we're facing and determine if there's any way to stop it." Outside the research facility, the night sky sparkled with stars, unaware that their distant cousins were already being swallowed by an approaching darkness. 3 weeks after the discovery of the alien message, Jack Phillips stood in the cold dome of the Arecibo Observatory. His breath formed small clouds in the chilly night air as he adjusted the massive radio telescope. For days, he had been tracking unusual gravitational readings at the edge of our solar system. "There it is again," he mumbled, noting the slight but unmistakable distortion in the fabric of space. Something was out there, causing ripples like a stone dropped in a still pond. Jack's findings arrived at NASA headquarters the next morning. Lisa Murray called an emergency meeting with her expanded research team, now working around the clock on what they called the Void Project. "These readings confirm the alien warning," Lisa told the assembled scientists. "The gravitational disturbances match the mathematical formulas in the message." Dr. Susan Green, a quantum physicist recruited from MIT, stood beside a holographic display showing the distortions. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, evidence of many sleepless nights. "I've been developing a theory," she said. "The void isn't just consuming matter. It's a tear in space-time itself. And it's expanding." Susan's presentation showed simulations of the void's progress through several star systems. It started small, perhaps as a quantum anomaly, but it feeds on energy. Each star it consumes makes it stronger and faster. John Carter, who had first detected the alien signal, asked the question everyone feared: "Can it be stopped?" Susan hesitated. "I don't know, but I believe we need more data." Correct observations. The room fell silent until Ryan Foster spoke up. "We've finished translating the remainder of the alien message. Their civilization detected the void too late. Their warning was sent as their final act before their home system was consumed." Lisa looked around the room at the grim faces. "We need to take this to the international community. This isn't just America's problem. It's humanity's." 2 days later, representatives from every major space agency gathered in Geneva. The evidence was presented, debates raged, and fears were voiced. But by the end of the week, a plan emerged. Commander William Black of the International Space Station addressed the assembly via video link. His weathered face showed the toll of 6 months in orbit. "We need eyes on this thing," he said firmly. "Send a research vessel. Get close enough to study it, but maintain safe distance. It's our only chance to understand what we're dealing with." The proposal sparked heated discussion, but eventually the vote was unanimous. Humanity would send a ship to investigate the void. Over the next 3 months, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly. They modified an experimental spacecraft with the most advanced propulsion systems ever built. The ship was christened U.S. Horizon, a symbol of hope against the darkness approaching from beyond. Captain Daniel Wright was selected to lead the mission. A veteran astronaut with 4 deep space missions under his belt, he understood the risks better than anyone. "We might not come back," he told his crew during their final briefing on Earth. "But what we learn might save billions of lives." 20 crew members volunteered for the mission, the best minds from 12 different countries. Science officer Kate Miller would lead the research team. Engineer Paul Adams would maintain the experimental engines. Communications specialist Greg Howard would keep their connection to Earth. On launch day, thousands gathered to watch the Horizon lift off from Kennedy Space Center. The sleek vessel rose on a column of blue flame, humanity's messenger into the unknown. Lisa Murray watched from mission control, her face tense. "Godspeed," she whispered as the ship vanished into the clear morning sky. In his captain's quarters aboard the accelerating vessel, Daniel Wright looked at a photo of Earth, a small blue marble suspended in darkness. He tucked it into his pocket and headed to the bridge. The Horizon's journey to the edge of known space had begun. The U.S. Horizon cut through the darkness of deep space, faster than any human vessel before it. Captain Daniel Wright stood on the bridge, watching the unfamiliar stars streak past the viewports. 2 months into their journey, they had already traveled farther from Earth than any human in history. "Status report," Daniel called out, his voice steady despite the weight of responsibility he carried. "All systems functioning normally, Captain," replied Engineer Paul Adams from his station. "The experimental drive is performing beyond expectations." Science officer Kate Miller approached with a tablet in hand, her expression serious. Captain, I've been analyzing our long-range scans of the area ahead. The void is accelerating. Daniel framed his face in a practiced calm. Accelerating. Are you certain? Yes. Based on our current data and the alien warning message, the void's expansion rate has increased by 17% since Earth first detected it. The captain called the senior crew to the conference room. Star charts and data projections filled the screens as Kate explained her findings. At its current rate of expansion, the void will reach populated systems much sooner than we predicted. This simulation shows its projected path. She gestured to a map where a dark shadow spread across multiple star clusters. Communications specialist Greg Howard raised his hand. Captain, there's something else you should know. I've been scanning all frequencies, and I'm picking up fragments of transmissions. They're not from Earth. The room fell silent. You mean? Daniel began. Greg nodded. Alien communications, mostly corrupted, but they're definitely distress calls from multiple sources, all from systems near the void's edge. He played a series of sounds, strange tones and patterns that somehow conveyed panic even though no one could understand the languages. There are others out there, whispered Kate, and they're running from the same thing we are. The crew debated their next move. Some argued they should return to Earth immediately with this new information. Others insisted they continue toward the void to gather more data. We were sent to investigate, Daniel reminded them. Earth is counting on us to learn everything we can about this threat. The decision made, the Horizon adjusted course toward the closest source of the alien distress signals. For 3 weeks, they traveled through uncharted space until sensors detected an object ahead. It's a ship, Greg confirmed. Severely damaged, but still maintaining life support systems. On the main screen, they watched a vessel twice the size of the Horizon drift aimlessly. Its hull was scorched in patterns unlike anything caused by normal space phenomena. Can we communicate with them? Daniel asked. Greg worked at his console. I'm trying, but their systems appear badly damaged. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, the ship's security chief, voiced what everyone was thinking. What if it's a trap? The risk exists, Daniel acknowledged. But if there are survivors who have encountered the void and lived, we need to talk to them. After careful consideration, Daniel made his decision. Prepare a boarding team. Full environmental suits, weapons secured but accessible. Hours later, Daniel led a small team through the airlock and onto the alien vessel. Their flashlights illuminated twisted corridors and strange technology. The air was breathable but thin, with an unfamiliar sweetness. In what appeared to be the command center, they found the survivors. 7 humanoid beings with silvery skin and large, expressive eyes. The aliens were frightened at first, but communication slowly became possible through mathematical equations and simple diagrams. They called themselves the Novali, and they had seen the void devour their home system. Their ship, one of many evacuation vessels, had ventured too close while gathering data. As Daniel explained humanity's mission, the lead Novali made a gesture that needed no translation, pointing first to the stars, then drawing a line across its throat. The message was clear: the void devours all, and no one who studies it escapes unchanged. The Novali survivors were brought aboard the U.S. Horizon. The alien beings moved with careful, deliberate steps, their silvery skin reflecting the ship's lights. Their leader, who the crew came to call Elder, communicated through a mixture of simple drawings and mathematical symbols. They've been running for what translates to about 3 Earth years, Greg Howard explained after several hours of exchanges. Their home system was the 5th to be consumed by the void in their region of space. Captain Daniel Wright gathered his officers in the conference room, while their guests rested in the medical bay. What have we learned? He asked. Kate Miller displayed images the Novali had shared. They've provided data on the void's behavior. It doesn't just consume matter, it erases it completely from existence. No radiation, no debris, nothing left behind. How is that possible? Paul Adams asked, his engineer's mind struggling with the concept. The Novali don't fully understand it either, Kate replied, but they've observed it more closely than anyone else we know of. Over the next few days, Hall worked alongside the Novali engineers to enhance the Horizon sensors. Despite the language barrier, they shared a common understanding of technology that transcended words. One evening, as Paul and Elder calibrated a detection array, Elder led him to a viewport and pointed to distant stars. Using the ship's computer, Elder displayed a holographic map and methodically extinguished light after light, stars going dark in sequence. "How many?" Paul asked, pointing to the vanished stars. Elder's response chilled him. The alien drew hundreds of circles, then swept them away with a gesture that needed no translation. Hall reported this to Captain Wright immediately. "They've witnessed the destruction of hundreds of civilizations, Captain. And according to their observations, nothing has successfully stopped or even slowed the void's expansion." Daniel's face remained composed, but his eyes revealed his concern. There has to be a way. Every natural phenomenon has rules, limitations. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez had been studying the Novali's vessel. She requested an urgent meeting with the captain and science team. "I don't think the void is natural," she said, displaying artifacts recovered from the alien ship. "These contain historical records. The Novali believe the void might be artificial in origin." "Artificial?" Kate's eyes widened. "You mean created intentionally?" Amy nodded. "Their oldest legends speak of ancient beings who wielded the power to reshape reality. The Novali call them the Shapers. They believe the void might be one of their weapons, either abandoned or malfunctioning." Daniel considered this information. If it was created, it might be possible to uncreate it, or at least control it. The Novali elder joined their discussion, bringing more historical artifacts. Through painstaking communication, the humans learned that several Novali scientific vessels had attempted to study the void's perimeter. None had returned. Greg received a transmission from Earth. Lisa Murray's face appeared on screen, lines of worry etched around her eyes. "The void's effects are becoming detectable from Earth now," she reported. "Multiple observatories confirm stars going dark along its projected path. The international community is demanding answers." Daniel gathered his crew and their Novali guests. "We have a decision to make. We can return to Earth with what we know, or press forward to study the void directly." Kate reviewed their data. "With the enhanced sensors, we could potentially observe from a safer distance than the Novali ships attempted." Elder made a series of urgent gestures. Greg interpreted. "They're saying there's a pattern to how the void moves. It's not random. It follows specific paths through space." This revelation sparked intense discussion. If the void followed predictable patterns, perhaps it could be avoided or confronted. "We continue forward," Daniel decided finally, "but we proceed with extreme caution. No unnecessary risks." That night, as the Horizon adjusted course toward the darkness that awaited them, Daniel stood alone in his quarters. He recorded a personal message for Earth, explaining his decision and accepting full responsibility for whatever happened next. The void beckoned, and humanity's representatives would answer the call. The U.S. Horizon drifted at the edge of what the crew now called safe space. Beyond the invisible boundary they had established, stars flickered unnaturally as the void's influence distorted light itself. Captain Daniel Wright studied the main view screen with narrowed eyes, searching for any visible sign of the phenomenon that had brought them across the galaxy. "All sensors at maximum range," Kate Miller announced from her science station. "We're getting readings unlike anything in our database." The Horizon maintained its position while specialized probes ventured closer to the void. Each transmitted data for several minutes before signal degradation rendered them useless. But those minutes provided precious information. Dr. Frank Martinez, the ship's physicist, burst onto the bridge after analyzing the latest probe data. His normally calm demeanor had given way to excitement. "Captain, I've identified energy patterns within the void's perimeter," he said, transferring his findings to the main display. "They're too organized to be natural. There's evidence of intelligent design here." Daniel leaned forward. Are you suggesting the void is artificial, as the Novali believed? I'm certain of it, Frank replied. These energy signatures resemble technology, but at a scale we can barely comprehend. It's like comparing a candle to the sun. The Novali elder joined them on the bridge, examining Frank's data with obvious recognition. Through their improving communication system, Elder conveyed that similar readings had been detected by their scientists before their world was consumed. Meanwhile, Security Chief Laura Wilson had been studying artifacts recovered from the Novali vessel. She requested permission to speak with the captain privately. In Daniel's ready room, Laura placed several ancient-looking objects on his desk. These weren't just historical records, Captain. They're technical documents about the void itself. How is that possible? Daniel asked. The Novali said they never fully understood the void. These aren't Novali artifacts, Laura explained. They're from another species, one the Novali encountered during their flight, a species that claimed to have knowledge of the void's creators. Laura displayed translations of symbols carved into the artifacts. According to these, a civilization called the Ancients created the void as a weapon in a war that ended millions of years ago. It was designed to consume enemy worlds but became unstable. Daniel absorbed this revelation. If these records are accurate, the void was never meant to expand indefinitely. Exactly. Laura nodded. And there might be a control mechanism somewhere at its core. When this information was shared with the senior staff, debate erupted over their next course of action. We can't possibly approach the core, Paul Adams argued. Our shields won't hold against those energy levels. Chief Navigator Eric Johnson studied the spatial distortions surrounding the void. After several quiet minutes, he spoke up. There might be a way through. These gravity wells create corridors where the destructive effects are minimized. If we plot a precise course. The risk was enormous, but so were the stakes. Daniel asked each senior officer privately for their opinion, respecting their right to voice concerns outside the group. Kate's analysis supported Eric's theory. The corridors exist, but they're constantly shifting. We'd need to adjust course in real time, reacting to changes we can barely predict. The Novali elder surprised everyone by volunteering to join any mission into the void. When asked why through the translator, Elder's response was simple. Home gone. Family gone. If death comes, better to die fighting darkness. After 24 hours of preparation, Daniel made his decision. The Horizon would attempt to navigate through the gravity corridors toward what sensors indicated might be a stable structure at the void center. This isn't what we were sent to do, Daniel told his crew honestly. Our mission was to observe and report, but we now have reason to believe we might find a way to stop this threat. I won't order anyone to continue. This is strictly volunteer. Not a single crew member stepped back. As the Horizon's engines powered up, Daniel exchanged a look with Elder. Human and alien, united by a common enemy and a desperate hope. Take us in, Mr. Johnson, Daniel ordered. Slow and steady. The ship moved forward, entering the threshold where reality itself began to waver. The U.S. Horizon trembled as it navigated the narrow corridor of stable space. Outside the viewports, reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Stars stretched into impossible shapes before winking out completely. The ship's hull creaked under forces it was never designed to withstand. Structural integrity at 70%, Paul Adams reported from engineering, his voice tight with concentration. We can't take much more of this. Captain Daniel Wright gripped his command chair, distanced to the central structure. Approximately 20 minutes at current speed, Eric Johnson answered, his hands dancing across the navigation controls. The corridor they followed shifted constantly, requiring split-second adjustments. On the main screen, something became visible through the distortion. A massive geometric object floating at what appeared to be the void center. Its surface gleamed with pulsing lights that followed complex patterns. That's it, Kate Miller whispered. The control mechanism. As they approached, the ship's computer began decoding signals emanating from the structure. Computer expert Mary Collins worked frantically to make sense of the data. "It's an interface," she announced after several tense minutes. "Similar to the artifacts we found, but far more complex. It's actively monitoring the void's expansion." The horizon reached the relative safety of the structure's perimeter. Close up, they could see it was roughly spherical, approximately 5 miles in diameter, covered with intricate patterns of light and material unlike anything humans had encountered. Daniel organized an expedition team. "We'll use the shuttle to approach the surface. Mary, you'll lead the technical team. I need you to find a way to access that interface." The Novalis elder insisted on joining them, gesturing that the ancient writing might be familiar. As the shuttle departed, those remaining on the horizon continued their analysis. Frank Martinez made a disturbing discovery. "Captain, according to these readings, the void is consuming energy at an accelerating rate. Within hours, even this stable pocket will collapse." Daniel acknowledged this grimly as the shuttle docked with the mysterious structure. The expedition team, wearing specialized suits, stepped onto its surface. Artificial gravity held them in place as they approached what appeared to be an entrance. Inside, they discovered a vast chamber filled with technology, both organic and mechanical. At its center stood a pillar of swirling energy. Mary approached a panel covered with symbols. Working with Elder, she began to decipher its purpose. "This is incredible," she said through the comm. "The structure was designed to contain and direct the void. It's essentially a cosmic vacuum, drawing in matter and energy for some purpose we don't fully understand." "Can it be shut down?" Daniel asked. Mary exchanged looks with Elder. "No, it's too deeply integrated into the fabric of space-time. Shutting it down would trigger a collapse that could devastate multiple galaxies." "Then what options do we have?" After intense work, Mary discovered a critical function. "We can't destroy it, but we might be able to redirect it." The system was designed with navigation protocols. "They're damaged but possibly repairable." Back on the horizon, sensors warned of increasing instability. The corridor they had used to reach the structure was collapsing. Even if they left immediately, escape was unlikely. Daniel made the hardest decision of his life. "We're going to split the crew," he announced. "Most will take our remaining shuttle and the Novalis vessel and attempt to reach safe space. A skeleton crew will remain with the horizon to repair the navigation systems and redirect the void away from populated areas." Paul objected immediately. "Captain, anyone who stays won't survive." "I know," Daniel replied quietly, "but billions of lives are at stake." 12 crew members volunteered to remain, including Daniel, Mary, and Kate. The rest, along with most of the Novalis, would attempt escape. As the evacuation proceeded, Mary worked feverishly to repair the ancient navigation systems. The horizon would need to physically connect with the structure, using the ship's power to jumpstart the dormant protocols. Daniel watched the escaping shuttles on the view screen, knowing he would never see Earth again. "Let's finish this," he said to his remaining crew. "Humanity's counting on us." The U.S. horizon merged with the ancient structure, power cables, and modified interfaces connecting the human vessel to technology millions of years old. Captain Daniel Wright stood at the center of the bridge, watching as Mary Collins and Kate Miller worked to complete the final connections. "Integration at 80%, Mary reported, her fingers flying across the adapted controls. "The navigation system is responding to our inputs." Outside, the void pressed closer. The stable pocket surrounding them had shrunk to barely half a mile. The darkness beyond wasn't just absence of light, it was absence of everything, a complete erasing of reality itself. "How much time do we have?" Daniel asked. Kate checked her readings. 30 minutes, maybe less, before this pocket collapses completely. The remaining crew worked with focused intensity. They had accepted their fate, but their determination never wavered. Their mission now was singular: redirect the void away from populated space and send warning to the galaxy. "I've mapped a new trajectory," Kate announced, displaying a path that would take the void through empty regions between spiral arms of the Milky Way. If we can maintain control long enough, it will take centuries before it threatens any major civilization again. Mary completed the final connections. Navigation system ready. But there's a problem. We need to maintain active control. Once we initiate the directional change, someone needs to stay at these controls until the new course is locked in. Daniel nodded. I'll do it. The rest of you prepare the data transmission package. Everything we've learned needs to reach Earth and be broadcast to other systems. Greg Howard, who had chosen to remain aboard, had prepared the most powerful subspace message ever attempted. The signal is ready, Captain. It contains everything: our research, the Novalis knowledge, the control mechanisms, detection systems, and evacuation protocols. What about the navigation codes? Daniel asked, his hand resting on the final control. Included, Greg confirmed. If the void ever changes course again, others will have the knowledge to redirect it. The moment arrived. Daniel started the navigation sequence while Mary monitored the ancient systems. The structure hummed with energy, and the void began to respond, slowly at first, then with increasing speed as its path began to bend. It's working, Kate exclaimed, watching the sensors. The void is changing direction. As the massive phenomenon turned away from its path toward populated space, Daniel ordered the transmission sent. Gray activated the signal, broadcasting humanity's hard-won knowledge across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Signal away, Greg confirmed. Earth should receive it in approximately 72 hours. The void continued its turn, but the strain on the ancient structure was enormous. Warning lights flashed across every console. Structural integrity failing, Paul reported from his station. We've got minutes at most. Daniel looked at his brave crew. You've all done your duty. It's been an honor serving with you. As the void completed its turn onto the new trajectory, the control room began to break apart. The last thing the crew saw was their successful trajectory plot on the main screen, proof that their sacrifice would save countless lives. 3 days later, on Earth, Lisa Murray received the transmission. Tears streamed down her face as she read the final words from Captain Wright. The void has been redirected. Our mission is complete. Remember us not with sadness but with determination. The universe is vast and dangerous, but humanity has proven itself worthy of the stars. This is our warning to all who will listen. Remain vigilant, work together, and never surrender to the darkness. Captain Daniel Wright, U.S. Horizon, final log entry. The transmission included everything: scientific data, engineering specifications, detection systems, and navigation codes. Within weeks, Earth had shared the information with every detected civilization, establishing a network of monitoring stations across multiple sectors of space. 1 year later, representatives from 27 different species gathered on neutral ground to sign the Horizon Protocol, a mutual defense pact combining resources to monitor and redirect the void if it ever threatened populated space again. Above the signing ceremony, a new constellation had been named in honor of the Horizon's crew, a permanent reminder in the night sky of humanity's sacrifice and warning to the galaxy. The void still existed, moving through empty regions of space, but thanks to the courage of a few, billions would live to see tomorrow's sunrise. 50 years had passed since the U.S. Horizon's final transmission. Earth had changed in ways Captain Daniel Wright and his crew could never have imagined. The knowledge gained from their sacrifice had propelled humanity forward, uniting them with dozens of alien civilizations under the Horizon Protocol. Dr. Noah Peterson stood on the observation deck of Horizon Station, a massive space platform orbiting at the edge of the solar system. As chief monitor of the Void Detection Network, he spent his days watching for any sign that the ancient threat might be changing course. Another quiet day, his assistant Olivia Chen noted, checking the sensor readings. The void continues along its predicted path through empty space. Noah nodded, but something had been troubling him for weeks. The absorption rate is changing. It's subtle, but the pattern is different from our historical data. Across the station, scientists from 12 different species work together, monitoring not just the void but other cosmic phenomena. The cooperation born from humanity's warning had led to an unprecedented era of interstellar peace and scientific advancement. Ambassador Ben Wilson entered the observation deck. As Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, he visited the station regularly. "Dr. Peterson, I need to speak with you privately," he said, his expression serious. In Noah's office, Ben activated a privacy field. The Xerillian delegation has shared disturbing information. Their deep space probes detected unusual energy signatures near the void's perimeter. Something might be manipulating it. Noah's blood ran cold. Manipulating. That's impossible without access to the control codes. That's what troubles them. The pattern suggests someone has partial access. Noah immediately called an emergency meeting of the station's senior staff. Representatives from human, Novali, and other species gathered in the conference room. "We've detected anomalies in the void's behavior," Noah explained, displaying the Xerillian data alongside his own observations. "The evidence suggests external influence." Kira Nakamura, head of security, spoke up. "Could it be natural interference? Perhaps the void encountered something unexpected in deep space." "The patterns are too precise," replied Zortal, the Novali scientist whose ancestors had survived aboard the vessel encountered by the horizon. This bears the mark of intelligence. The implications were staggering. For 50 years, the galaxy had believed the void was safely contained, moving through uninhabited regions of space. If someone had found a way to control it, even partially, they possessed a weapon of unimaginable power. "We need to investigate directly," No decided. "The protocol requires immediate action for any Level 1 anomaly." Within hours, the research vessel New Horizon prepared for launch. Unlike its namesake, this ship had been built with knowledge from a dozen worlds, specifically designed to study the void safely. Noah insisted on leading the mission himself. "I've studied the original crew's data for 20 years. No one knows the void's patterns better." As the New Horizon departed, Noah reviewed the last transmissions from Captain Wright and his crew. Their sacrifice had bought the galaxy 50 years of peace. Now that peace was threatened, the journey to the void's current location took 3 weeks. When they arrived, Noah saw immediately that something was wrong. The void's perimeter showed signs of artificial stabilization, technology that shouldn't exist. "Scan for vessels," he ordered. "Nothing detected," Kira reported. "But there's a strange energy signature at coordinates 227 Mark 43. Noah studied the readings. "That's within the safe approach zone. Take us closer." As the New Horizon moved cautiously forward, they discovered something impossible, a small research station floating at the void's edge. Its design was unlike any known species. How could anyone build that close to the void? Kira wondered. The answer came moments later when their sensors picked up a transmission. The message was brief but clear, and it sent shockwaves through the crew. "Greetings, children of the stars. We are the Shapers. Our weapon has served its purpose. The test is complete. Judgment comes next." Noah stared at the words on the screen. The void had never been an accident. It had been a test, and the galaxy's response was being evaluated. A new chapter in the struggle for survival had begun.